Gabor Labrador, Gabor Labrador, Gabor Labrador, Gabor Labrador. Gabor is a legend. He is someone who I look up to and I've looked up to for years. I've worked so hard to be able to bring this into fruition, to have conversations with the leading minds, and he is someone who should never be discounted with what he's been able to do in child psychology, as well as parents. This guy is able to read society like a book and pretty much explain why we're so fucked up. This is the kind of person we need to latch onto, which is exactly why we're bringing him here on November 1st. This is kind of a precursor to the conversation, what we're going to be talking about on stage here in a couple weeks at Where the Minds Meet, November 1st. Go to wherethemindsmeet.com to get your tickets, or you can just go straight to Eventbrite. Look up Where the Minds Meet, look up Gabor Maté, look up Dennis McKenna, look up Joe Tafur. It'll come up. We've tapped into the search field. You're good to go. Keyword search. Make it happen. It's for $42 to be able to see presentations from the leading minds in plant science, behavioral science, and epigenetics. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good deal. We are bringing uber value to your doorstep. There's no reason, Minnesota, to not show up to this event. Last year, as you know, we had Gary V provided uber value, literally boosted our economy. We've seen noticeable results. People are creating content out the wazoo now. We've been able to provide so much value through our Where the Minds Meet series, Link and Drink series. Next one coming up November 12th, 007 at 7. You should definitely tap into that too. We will be releasing tickets this week. And let's talk about some sponsors, huh? My friends at Cato CBD just got done. I got out of the sauna tonight. I came down to the studio, and when I got here, I lit up a pre-rolled CBD joint, and I love it. I love it so much. It's become a daily regimen. Typically, I don't smoke CBD. I do like to, maybe a couple days a week. Really, I use tinctures and I put it in my smoothie in the morning. Go to Cato CBD, KATOCBD.com. Use code word astronaut. Get yourself a discount. I guarantee the prices are way more favorable than a local dispensary. The taxes they're hitting you with, let's bring it right to your doorstep, huh? KatoCBD.com. Go get you some. Also, Rochester Lapidary Jewelers, your original custom jeweler. You can roll into Lapidary. You can give them an idea. Dan Boy will three-dimensionally process it in front of you on a computer, and by the end of tomorrow, you will have it on your finger. They will get it molded and made up with the quickness. Are you thinking about getting a custom piece for your wife for your 2-year anniversary? Rochester Lapidary Jewelers is your go-to. They can make you earrings, necklaces, rings. They're making all these Minnesota Vikings pieces for football season. They made me a custom sterling silver stationary astronaut that is way too heavy that I wear around my neck. It's probably the reason my L4 and L5 are out of whack. I just made that up. We're doing it. It's happening. We have this conglomerate going on right now that is gaining steam. We are building momentum creatively. You are going to see a lot of things come out of the woodworks that are going to reshape the way we look at entertainment, the way we look at media, the way we look at local news, the way we look at social networking. I'm so excited for the Astro Network to come to you. We are about to launch our beta, and then once we get all the fine-tuned details dialed in, all the hiccups out of the way, we're going to go public with it, and it's going to be our the new way to really connect with one another and to consume, whether that be events, whether that be cool things, whether that be philosophical information, whether that be podcasts, uplifting material. We're bringing it to you, and I'm so excited for the Astral Network to hit you in the grill that Lapidary Jewelers made for you, because we're bringing Paul Wall back. Anyways, Dr. Gabor Maté, we got him. November 1st. Enjoy the show.
I'm gonna be high as a fucking man.
And now, the stationary astronaut.
Psychedelics are, it's something I work with, and I've been working with for 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you know, I just came back from Peru. But for the most part, they're not the major thing that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly I just talk about what I talk about, and my material. So what I can best contribute to that conversation is not to talk so much about psychedelics,
mm-hmm.
but about the background of why the psychedelics can help. And it's not because of their chemical effect, but because they can put people in touch with all these issues that are so hidden inside the psyche, that have to do with trauma, that show up in disease and so on. So it's that the best contribution I can make to that evening conversation is really all the other stuff I talk about, which explains why the psychedelics work.
So when you talk about why the psychedelics work, is it more focused on the mind-body connection or our neurochemistry?
That's exactly right, yeah.
And what kind of advice would you give to young parents with young children right now?
Advice about
how to not mess them up, Gabor.
Well, there's three big things. One is Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist teacher, said that the greatest gift a parent can give to their child is his or her own happiness. Mm-hmm. So first of all, you got to look after yourself in your life, because the kid will pick up on your stresses and on your sadness and your depression, and they'll take it personally. They think it's because of them. So the best, first, number one. Number two, really ask yourself, what is your priority in life? Now, most parents, if you ask them what their priority in life is, as I would have said when I was a young parent, it's the happiness of my children. But then look at the actual structure of your life in relationship to that highest goal. To what extent does your life actually line up with what you think your highest goal is? My life didn't line up with it. I may have said that my highest goal is the happiness of my children. But how did I live my life? My highest goal was to be an important doctor. Because I needed to prove to myself how worthwhile I was. So line up your intention with your life. Because the raising your kids, and especially the first 3 years, it's the most important thing you're ever going to do. Mm-hmm. If you get the first 3 or 4 years right, you're pretty well set for life. And if you don't, you'll be doing remedial parenting for many decades. That's just how it works.
Isn't that its own form of epidemic, is broken people raising children?
That's exactly what's happening in our society. And if you want to look at why so much ADHD, why so much anxiety amongst kids, why the self-cutting, why the internet addictions, it's because of the broken people are raising broken kids. It's the medical practice looks at all these issues as medical disease issues, but they're not. They don't start out as diseases. They start out as just kids not getting their needs met. But because the parents are too stressed themselves, not because the parents don't love their kids, because they're not living lives that are aligned with the child's needs. And this is epidemic in our society. My next book is about that.
What is your next book totally about?
The title is The Myth of Normal, Illness and Health in an Insane Culture. And what I'm saying is that in this society, mental or physical illness are normal responses to abnormal circumstances. Because this is not a society that meets human needs. And that starts right in the womb. And
So,
the needs are, yeah.
with cross addiction and people just kind of supplanting one addiction that they think they might have conquered with another, is that all based on childhood trauma? Because that's why I'm so excited to bring you here, is to focus on how our childhood messed us up as adults.
Yeah.
And is it pretty much across the board?
Well, if you look at addictions, whether you're addicted to, I'm talking about the science, the brain science of addiction now, whether you're addicted to cocaine or alcohol or crystal meth or pornography or gambling or shopping or cutting or work,
CD.
It's the same. Shopping. I wasn't addicted to the CDs. You got to get that clear. It's the shopping I was addicted to. Because no matter how many I had to keep going and get more and more. Mm-hmm. So it's not the music I loved the music, but it wasn't the music that was the addiction. It was the shopping, it was the getting more that was the addiction. And no matter what the addiction is, it's the same brain circuits. It's the dopamine incentive motivation circuits. It's the opiate pain relief, pleasure, elation circuits. It's the impulse regulation circuits. It's the stress regulation circuits. They're the same in all addictions. In other words, there's just one universal addiction process. And the targets are different, but the process is the same. And if you look at what happened to those brain circuits, what happened to them is they didn't develop properly in childhood. Why? Because of trauma or because the conditions for development were not right. So yes, at the source of all addictions is a significant degree of emotional pain. Whether you want to call it trauma or whether you don't, that depends on how you want to define trauma. But there's a deep emotional pain, deep emotional loss there that somebody sustained in childhood, that the addiction is then designed to temporarily soothe or fill. Temporarily, of course, but ultimately unsuccessfully.
Is the only way to get past that trauma to bring it to the surface, acknowledge it, where it came from, why it affects your life, and then to let it go, or to hold on to it as motivation?
You have to come to terms with it. You have to understand that it happened. You don't have to go into all the details. You have to know what energies you're still carrying as a result of it, and not take that personally, not make it your own fault, but learn how to release those energies. So really, it's about not being controlled by the past, but being in the present. And that does take some look at the past, yeah. But looking at the past by itself is not enough, because you can talk about all that, what happened forever, and never release any of the energies that you're still carrying around it.
Do you think that might be why plant medicines are so powerful, because they give us kind of a left field or a backdoor perspective on trauma?
Well, in my experience and working with hundreds of people, the plant medicines are like Sigmund Freud once called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. Well, I think the plant medicines are the royal road to the unconscious very often. They can just take you places that you had no idea were even there, if you're in the right environment, and if you're supported, and if you feel safe, and if you have some help in integrating the material. So they can very quickly get you to places where talk therapy will take decades and never get you there. So yeah, that's why they can be so powerful. They can also show you the parts of yourself that were always there, that were strong and present, but you weren't aware of them. So they can actually be in close contact with your real self. So they can help both in showing you the trauma, but also in giving you a sense of who you might really be. Now, having said that, you can have this beautiful experience and go home and be the same jerk a week later that you were the week before. I'm talking personally, because those experiences in themselves, they have to be integrated into your life. So seeing something and being something is not the same thing.
Awakening our human potential and then doing something about it.
That's right. You have to actually put it into your life, and that's a commitment. But there's a way of opening that door. The plant medicines can be unparalleled.
I'm really eager to see what the future brings as we have these more professional retreat centers opening up that are partnering talk therapy with them. And then I'm interested to see what other modalities will be attached to them as well to hopefully, someday bring people.
Well, I know somebody who's going to start a center like that in Mexico, and they're going to have talk therapy, and they're going to have EMDR and somatic experiencing, and they're going to have acupuncture and meditation and mindfulness work and plant medicines. But of course, it has to be legal, which in North America right now it's not. So therefore, there's a real restriction on what people can do. So it's okay. There's all these other modalities. It's just too bad that that particular one, which could be so helpful to a lot of people, is not yet sanctioned by law.
Are you excited for the future of the advancement of what we're figuring out with genetic memory?
What do you mean by genetic memory?
Well, it's so that Yale professor I was speaking about, where I went and saw her talk, she did I think it was a 19-year study on Holocaust survivors' grandkids as well as war veterans' grandkids.
You're not talking about Rachel Yehuda, are you?
I believe I am.
I'll be talking to her in about an hour.
That's the one who knew about you when we were talking before we went hot.
Okay.
She came to the Mayo Clinic a few months ago.
So that's not genetic memory. That's epigenetic memory.
Okay, what's the difference?
Genes have to do with the structure of the DNA, the sequence of the DNA base pairs in the chromosome. Epigenetics have to do with how those genes are turned on and off as a result of life experience. So the memory is epigenetic, but it's not genetic. The genes don't change, but how they turned on and off are changed. And that, according to Rachel's work and other work, can be passed on from one generation to the next.
Which affects our cortisol.
Which can then affect how our body handles cortisol and stress as adults, yeah.
Wow.
So this has been shown in mice and in human beings and so on. But having said which, Nick, I have to go because I have to prepare for my interview with Rachel, which I'm doing for my book. And I'm going to there's a bunch of articles in front of me on the computer. I'm going to have to read through them very quickly again, just to remind myself.
Well, it's a small world. It's pretty cool how the universe works.
Yeah.
Gabor, I appreciate you so much. We're so excited to have you, and we'll talk further.
Okay, I look forward to being there in Rochester. Okay.
Take care.
There's too many people to not have people who you love. Hey. There's too many people to not have people who you love. And I'm a little bit rough around the edges. Yeah. And I'm a little bit desperate and unwhole. But someone believed in second chances when they loved me anyway, with no agenda, just to say there's too many people to not have people who you love. There's too many people to not have people who you love. And we don't need a steeple to figure out where it's coming from. There's just too many people to not have people who you love. That's right. Everybody's got something unimpressive, yeah. And but it could be the last thing you want to know. And I could never find out all the answers, but I'm telling you today, the clock will slowly tick away. There's too many people to not have people who you love. There's too many people to not have people who you love. Yeah. And we don't need a steeple to figure out where it's coming from. There's just too many people to not have people who you love. Bring it back, say oh, 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 centuries we've lost and we've won, but there must be a reason for every season that goes in